Welcome to the Covalence Podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Chad and Jeff. Hey! Another one-on-one episode because the fam just gets split up every once in a while.
We do stuff, and it sucks, but it happens.
It does. So we were trying not to get into it, but the Saturday Night Live episode, I didn't see it, but I did watch the Walking Dead skit and the monologue that was clipped for Reddit. So that's all. That's my only impression I have of it.
No, like the monologue. Basically, the big thing was he said pussy more than once, which it's network TV, so they can't do that. He basically decided which of his old Chappelle Show characters he was going to kill off with the Walking Dead skit. However, no Rick James. So Rick James is still living on as far as I'm concerned. But
is that what it's supposed to be? Like, is he coming back with a new...
I don't know. It like this was his comeback to TV, as he put it at the end. And yeah, I mean, it'd be nice if he did. I'd like it.
He's much like larger.
Oh yeah. Well, like physically?
Yeah,
or
physically.
Yeah. Oh, he's buff.
Yeah, I couldn't tell from any of the clothes, but I was like, the dude just looks thicker.
He's jacked.
It's fucked up to say, but it looks like he just got out of his 10-year stint in the fucking prison. You know, like
he does. He looks like he's been working out. Good on him, though. He's doing his thing. It's all right. But I mean, he's been working. He did a lot of stand up. You know, I don't think he's done any movies.
No, he fell off the radar
intentionally. I mean, he did it on his own. You know, he needed to go and collect himself. Well, I take this back. He did do one movie. He did do the Dave Chappelle's Block Party, where basically he just found a dead street somewhere in New York and invited all the artists that he likes, and then went to like an old high school in his hometown and brought their band and a couple other people, and that's it.
I know you don't like him, but because I listened to the Joe Rogan podcast and like Bill Burr, you know, some of those guys,
yeah.
You know, they're active in their comedy. So a lot of the times on their podcast, they talk about just the everyday stuff that's going on, like at the comedy stores. And you know, they've talked about Dave Chappelle like showing up, you know, and doing work, you know, building the routine. And there's no real way to. At least with what I gather from what they say, if you're a musician, you can perfect your song, your album, by yourself in your basement, and you can come out with your final kind of polished thing.
Yeah,
you can be an artist and you're drawing your thing. You know, be a coder and you're working on your program. But comedy needs like real feedback. Mm-hmm. You need to say your joke and see if it's hitting or not, because there's no way to really know whether the joke premise is actually resonates with people and whether your delivery of it is good or not. Because you could have a good premise but bad delivery, and then you're not getting the laugh response. And it's like must be really hard for someone like Dave Chappelle to go practice, because people love him. And if he says, hey, I'm going to be at this such and such show, then all his fans are going to show up and they're just going to be like laughing at whatever he says, whether it's good or not.
Well, he did exactly what you're supposed to do. He basically stepped out of it right at the top of it. Like, he was right at the beginning, like he did 2 seasons and a bit, you know? And yeah, I mean, if he'd have gone 4 or 5 seasons, people may have got tired of his shtick.
Maybe.
But the thing is he makes like one-liner quips about the previously, even taking Cosby, Pryor, Murphy into account, the previously not kosher topics of race and sexism, and he approaches that from a totally raw, I don't give a fuck kind of attitude, and people fucking love that shit. They do.
It's awesome. Great. I love in his monologue when he's like, I just got rich, and then Obama came in and said, well, we need to pay our fair share, and he's like, I just got this shit, nigga. You know, just like, he was just like, I just got paid.
Oh, how you gonna do this to me? No, and I mean, that's the thing. Like, he did that, and I made jokes at the time when Obama was first in that we lost our credit rating, and I'm like, everybody shocked by this? We got a black guy that runs the country. You know, no offense to Obama. Honestly, he's done a pretty damn good job. But no, really, I mean, it's just a fact. You know, redlining is a thing. As soon as a black person moves next door, your property value drops by $5,000. It's like driving a car off the lot. As soon as you drive it off the lot, you've lost 20% of the value.
It's called institutional racism, Chad.
Yeah, I know it is. It's not that I made it. I didn't make it. I'll pay what I think is a fair price for a property, and not a penny more. That's why I don't own property. But
I think that that will probably be Obama's legacy, is that he inherited basically the second largest recession of all time in American history. And, he managed to get us through it. Whether it was equitable for everyone, probably not. But, he was basically there. He steered the ship from, crashing into the reef or the sandbar, basically. He jumped in. The economy's doing a complete collapse, and had to make some quick decisions on what to do. And, ultimately they decided to go with the bailout idea. I don't know if it's true or not, but I always hear the people who say, yeah, but the bailout paid itself back. Like, all the money that was given to the bank institutions ultimately paid back all that money already. But I don't even know how do you even begin to look that shit up?
Well, I mean, that's just it. You can't, because we don't have access to every bank's books. We don't know exactly we don't even know exactly what the government does with the money they get. I mean, I still hold to Judge Hirsch saying in Independence Day, come on, $400 for a toilet, $1,200 for a hammer? Yeah. No, that's Black Ops money. We know what that is.
I think it's part Black Ops money, and it's part it's time to get paid for all the hoops I had to get through just to sell shit to the government.
Yeah.
Because if you want to be a contractor for the government, for anything, because I tried it, and I was way too stupid to figure it out. Like, I'm serious. I don't have the drive to do it. I just wanted to sell tables that we had. We just sell like a real basic like table. Mm-hmm. And I looked in, like, the government has, I forget what it's called, but they have like a giant catalog book of it's just a catalog of pre-approved shit that different government organizations and agencies can buy. So if, I don't know, if the Department of Health wants to buy some picnic tables for their front yard or backyard or cafeteria, they don't really have the freedom to just go buy tables from IKEA. They have to buy stuff through government-approved contractors that sell those things. And the way that you get approved to get in that catalog is you have to prove that you run Social Security checks on your employees to make sure that they're legal status citizens. You need to prove that you're an equal opportunity employer, and that you have given the same due diligent effort to hire women as you have men. They're like this list of things that you must do in order to do business with the government is like unbelievably long.
No, I know.
And it's like, it becomes insane to where you're like, a lot of the stuff, it's not just as simple as that. It'll say, under section Article 247B, you by signing this document, you agree to all of those statutes. And you're like, where the fuck is that? Like, in the California State Regulation, Article Section 4B, subcategory 7, and so now you have to go look that shit up. And sometimes you have to buy that book to look it up. It's like $70 to buy that thing so that you can look up to see what the fuck that weird rule is and see if you have done that thing. So when I started fishing around on the internet, as one does when you're trying to figure out something new, the internet starts to realize what you're doing, right? Like if you start shopping for stuff, right? Mm-hmm. The internet figures out what you're doing, and suddenly you start getting ads and emails and stuff for all the stuff you've been looking at. So sure enough, I start getting emails and phone calls from people who want to help me get into this catalog, and it's $5,000. It's $5,000, and then.
But you're basically paying a lawyer $5,000 to just do all the work for you.
Yes, you are. But the other thing is, there's no guarantee that you'll sell anything, and part of the requirement for being in this catalog is you must have a certain amount of sale volume. You can't just put something in the catalog and then never sell anything. The government just removes you instantly. And then you'll have to go through the application process again if you ever want to go on there. So if I spent $5,000, you're damn right to sell toilet seats. In that catalog, I'm going to get my fucking $5,000 worth of toilet seats back.
Well, it's the same where I work. Like, it's all FDA approved, but we have to pay the FDA or pay someone to do the testing to qualify us for that. So that's why certain things are as much as they are, because we're still paying off all that testing that we had to do.
But I just want to say that I still agree with you that there are things that have come to the surface over the decades and decades where you find that people have paid like in excess of $300 for a toilet seat on like the USSR or some sort of battleship, where like that toilet seat costs an absurd fucking amount of money, or hammers that cost $200 for a regular wooden,
just regular nothing Craftsman hammer.
Yeah, Craftsman hammer, and you're like, what is going on here? So everybody's talking about the election and the fallout and the aftermath.
Oh, God. And you know what? The worst part is, lately on Reddit, I'm getting the blame. I'm the guy they hate.
Why are you the guy they hate?
Because I'd bitch and moan about any choice I had and would totally do it by a lesser of evils kind of thing. But then at the end of the day, I didn't vote. So it's my fault. That's how we got stuck with Trump, because I didn't vote him out. Thanks, Reddit.
Well, I mean, there were people. The thing is you haven't voted like really ever before.
No.
So you weren't really factored into the equation.
The last time I voted was literally in junior high for cheerleaders.
They're saying that like Obama had like 62 million votes his first election. Mm-hmm. Then the second year he gets 60 million, so he lost 2 million.
And Hillary got like what, 51, 53?
Yeah, she gets 51, 53. So she lost 10 to 12 million in votes. So you're right. Where the Republicans were basically, I'm just averaging, like we just get rid of the third party for a second and pretend that 100 million people voted, because it's like 50% of the voting population, and they pretty much split it 50-50. So the Republicans have had that 48 million solid voting block every time. It just
that core, their
core
constituency,
48, 49 million
constituency stays the same.
It stays the same. They're not growing. They're not shrinking. They're not dying. So they just continue to show up every time. And I just think that I didn't vote for Hillary. I didn't vote for Trump either, because to me they both just seemed like bad options. But honestly, I wanted Trump to win over Hillary. I wanted him to win over her. I don't feel like the ends justifies the means. And when we saw all the corrupt stuff that was happening with Hillary, the other thing, I mean, this has already been said 1,000 times. Do you agree with the idea that basically we had 4 years of Clinton? I mean, 8 years of Bill, 8 years of Bush, then 8 years of Obama. So,
now, wait a minute. We had 8 years of Reagan, 4 years of Daddy Bush, 8 years of Clinton, 8 years of W, 8 years of Obama.
Right. So out of the last 24 years, 16 of it has been under the Democrats.
Let's see. So 8, that's 16, yeah.
So you got 24 years. The middle class has been on a death spiral, a slow crunch downward for 40 years. Basically, right when Reagan starts is when it starts to tip the other direction.
I'll pay that.
But people put Clinton in there, and the Clintons Democrats had everything at one point. They had the House, the Senate, and the presidency. Mm-hmm. The upswing never turned around. right? The Labor Party, the working class never seemed to, it didn't start growing again. It still continued its small shrink.
Well, people seem to, like, for a while, just anecdotally speaking, most people seem to look back on Clinton's presidency as, oh, I had a good time then. Oh, things were okay. They may have not come right back up or started going up again, growing at the pace of Industrial Revolution style middle class burgeoning there. But at the same time, they didn't backslide. They weren't doing horribly. Things were okay. And just in my experience, the 90s were actually a really good time, fiscally speaking, for me, my family, and the people I knew.
I think the 90s were all pretty good for everybody because that's when the dot-com boom was happening.
Yeah.
And basically free money was being printed again.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It was a false bump.
Well, it was enough that if you did the right things back then, you would still profit from them today. You would still be in a really good place. Case in point, I remember in the 90s going into my credit union and seeing the CD rates posted on a board right there. They don't do that now because if you're lucky if you get 5% out of a CD. Now, that's good. Back then, I was seeing 20% plus.
I was too young to. I was basically like 10 years old, and I remember one of my older friends. My dad had a roommate, and he was a dude who also had a son. And we kind of so my dad and this dude lived in this house on the beach, and both we're all both divorced. So like on the weekends, it'd be like me coming in to see my dad and this other kid coming in to see his dad, and so we would be like hangout buddies like on the weekends. And I remember him showing me like CDs, and he's like, "Oh yeah, look at this is $500, and in 8 years I'm gonna be able to cash this, for this amount of money." Like fucking nobody's talking about like CDs or any of that shit anymore. But I just want to go back to my dad lived in a time. My dad and my families lived in California pretty much like their whole lives, from teens like upwards. And my dad, he didn't own it, but he bought. He bought, got a down payment, all this stuff, on his first house when he was 23 years old, in Orange County, as a grocery clerk. That's what he did. My dad worked in a grocery store his whole life until he retired. My dad also retired at like 46 years old, something around there, because he had an amazing pension and retirement plan, and if your years of service plus your age equaled 85, if those two cross, then you could retire. It's called the Golden 85 rule.
Nice.
But that world doesn't exist anymore.
No, you can't bag groceries or run a register nowadays and even survive, much less retire 20 years early.
Right, if you rewind back time, though, and you try to figure out, like, what was the difference, and you go, like, oh, corporate profits were way less. CEOs didn't make 500 times the lowest employee. They made, like, 10 times the amount of, right? The equitably, the money was, like, distributed a little bit more equitably, a lot more equitably than it is now. And so someone like my dad, who's like, global warming, you think I give a fuck about global warming? Like, my kids can't even live in this fucking country anymore. Fuck this shit. Like, global warming can suck a dick if my family can't live, right? Like, it might as well all burn down then if my family is going to like starve to death on the streets. I don't give a shit if the planet lives for another 100 million years if me and my family die. So that doesn't really factor into the equation. I think a lot of people looked at, again, you're looking at Clinton, and then 8 years of Clinton, 8 clear years of Obama, and the trend stays the same. A slow grinding of the middle class and continued globalism, global supply chains, more world trade, more. From the globe standpoint, I can see from some aspects you're like, oh yeah, well let's kind of share the wealth with the rest of the world, because there's a lot of people who don't even eat every day, and let's like spread these global supply chains. But there's this segment that, the Republican base, which is always going to vote for Republican anyways. Mm-hmm. And then there's the small base, that the other equally sized base that's always going to vote Democratic. anyway. And then there's the independents in the middle, who are always the deciding sways, right? It's the independents that decide where the country goes. And they're looking at Clinton going, fuck this bitch. I don't want 8 more years of Obama. I don't want 8 more years of fucked up healthcare. I don't want 8 more years of war. And now we're going to have World War III with Russia and all this like entanglement shit that's going on in the Middle East. Everybody's doing these pseudo de facto wars. Like, well, I'm not going to attack you directly, but I'm going to fund these freedom fighters and these terrorists, and I'm going to give them weapons.
It's Vietnam and Afghanistan. Now it's the Middle East. It's Syria. They're doing the same thing again. But the thing is I want, like, let's take that and say there are people who said, no, I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna go this again. Let's do something different. Now let's fold in the third partiers, because there are a lot of people. There were a lot of Bernie supporters. They felt the burn and then they got burned. And then what? What did they do after that? Did they all vote Gary Johnson or Jill Stein?
No, I think most of them walked away.
Yeah,
I think some of them went Gary Johnson. Hardly anybody went Jill Stein. I mean, she got like 1%, which was actually way less than I thought it would be.
Did Gary approach the 10% mark is the question?
No, 3.
Okay.
He got a solid 3. But that's the largest like a third party's gotten since like Perot or whatever. I think
Maybe.
It was substantial. I still don't see it as an upward trend for third parties.
No.
It's still going to be a pipe dream. The third party just, I feel like it's smashed so much that it just has no chance of ever coming back. So it was another thing that makes me happy, because I'm like, good. The Democrats, again, the ends did not justify the means. I don't care how much you thought Hillary Clinton was going to be the person. It's not the person everybody wanted. And you fucked up by choosing the wrong person. And you created a machine that basically negated the whole idea and premise of a primary. The primary is to let the people decide who to push forward. You just said, fuck the people. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't get a real say. And they pushed Hillary anyways, and now you lost because of it. So now you lose the presidency, you lose the House, you lose this. Well, you didn't even have the Senate to begin with, but you lost more of it, and you've got to start from the bottom. And who are the 2 pillars like right now that are looking to be in control of the Democratic Party? Fucking Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren.
Well, see, now that's the thing. Like, that's been the big statement: is Hillary done? Is HRC out of this? She's probably it's over for her, as far as I'm concerned.
The Clintons are out.
Yeah, they should be. They should have been out before. She was too old when this started. No offense, but yeah, and he's definitely too old. But I mean, and Trump's too old as well. But anyway, no. It's the thing is Bernie's not going to in 4 years. Let's just take the short view. 4 years. If people have had enough of Trump and he doesn't do it in 4 years' time, Bernie's not the guy to take over. He's just not. They're not going to turn to him because he's going to be too old. Hillary's not going to be around to do it. She'll want to do it, but we've tried that already. We tried
twice.
Yeah, we
tried twice.
We tried once, and you conceded. You backed down. But you said, oh, I'm putting my money in for the next time around. And you did that, and you still fucked it. So, 3 times, we're not doing that. It's not the charm in this case. So they'll say no. What'll probably end up happening is they'll get... what's his name? Sherrod whatever from Ohio. That way they can get that crucial swing state. They'll probably get Cory Booker because Cory Booker kind of reminds people of a political version of Vin Diesel, I guess. I don't know. But no, I mean, but Cory Booker did like the real cool things. Like, I'm going to try to live off minimum wage for a week or, whatever he did. I don't remember the stuff. But, I mean, these are the guys. They're the new blood coming into the Democratic Party. And they're coming in playing the game. And that's what matters. They're not Bernies that don't play the game but still play the game because he was a career politician. He still knew. And they're not completely on the outside. The best thing I did was I gave my mom an analogy when I talked to her on the phone after the election because I figure I'm going to let this woman do her foolish thing and vote for this guy. And then he won. Damn it. But I just said, Mom, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a surgeon. I've never even thought about medical school, right? She said, yeah. I said, okay, let's say your appendix is flaring up. You want me to cut you open and pull it out? She said, I think I'll go to the hospital. I'm like, that's what you just did. You just voted a guy who wears a hat. They said it on SNL during the Weekend Update, too. I couldn't believe it. But they did a thing where he's like, I'm a good doctor on his Make America Great Again hat. And that's like what we've just done. The best, though, to go back to that, on the Weekend Update, the guy like basically broke down who's what of the Trump insiders, so to say. He blasted on Giuliani, blah, blah, blah. And then he went to Chris Christie and he said basically a big pile of white trash. And they threw up a picture of Christie. And the other guy said, man, you still got to drive back to New Jersey, right? And the guy off screen says, yeah, but I won't take the bridge. I was like, damn, that was a burn. Oh, but no, they'll bring new blood in. They're already working on them. They're already in the system. They're making their way up. Trump, it's pretty much a wait and see. If he screws this up.
You don't think that, like, to me, the idea of the presidency is designed to accept somebody who doesn't need to be a career politician.
Well, that's the thing. We've got to the point where you have to be.
I don't think you do.
We're that big. You can't not be a politician and run this shit.
You just need a guy you need somebody.
You don't need a guy who says, yeah, just grab him by the pussy, talking to a foreign dignitary. That's not the person you want.
Yeah, but that's so unfair, dude, because, like, he had that in his mind was a private conversation with him and a buddy. He didn't get up on stage and say, grab chicks by the pussy.
I've never even said in private conversation, unless I actually did it in a moment and was describing it to someone. I don't walk around and say, yeah, just grab them by the pussy.
There are podcasts where you make jokes about throwing a chick in the trunk of a car tied up to rape her. That's on our podcast. Yes, it is. That everybody in Rob and fucking Steven and Chris and myself, like, we had 2 podcasts in a row that started off with rape jokes.
Yeah, but I'm not running for president.
But that doesn't define you. But that doesn't define you as a person.
No, but I'm also not running for president. I'm not running a fucking beauty pageant. Come on. I mean, this is a guy. It's the context too in which he said it. It's not just saying, "Oh yeah, I grabbed."
And so anybody who becomes president cannot have just regular conversations in their personal life. Is that the standard?
They can.
But they can't, because we live in a world now where everything gets recorded. So somebody who's 17, 18, 25, 35, who may not think that they're ever going to run for president, is instantly removed for the rest of their life because of a conversation they had on the side with somebody in private. That's the disqualifying thing. Look, all you really need in the president is some dude who supposedly is just looking out for the best interest, the general best interest of America.
And he's doing that by one statement.
I have no idea. I'm not saying I'm making arguments just to be thought out, like, across the board. I'm not defending Trump one way or another.
Let me go back and say this then, that it's not just the grabbing by the pussy statements. It's not that one thing. Because being a single issue person makes me a total jerk. I get that. But it's all those issues. It's all that stuff that he does or doesn't do. It's logical fallacies like his contract for his first 100 days. Have you read it?
I read it several weeks ago when he first posted it. I don't know if there have changes, but some of them I thought were incredibly probably impossible and wishful thinking, like the idea of putting term limits on the Senate. Or all of Congress. I thought that's a genius. I would love to see a president
could actually
push
go,
that.
But pass 1, repeal 2, you're going to run out. The math just doesn't weigh out at that point. Yeah, there are a lot of laws on the books, but you're going to get to the point where you're just going to start picking things because you have to live up to the promise you made.
No, but see, that's the thing. That actually is a genius. That you know how, like, Elon Musk or other, like, even my boss, it's like you set deadlines, you set goals so that you try to beat something. Even if you miss it, you still have the deadline, because the deadline creates a restraint, right? Like, it makes a restraint for you to try to work in so that you get something done.
It turns you from a flashlight into a laser beam. It puts you right on the point, and you know where you're going, and you're doing everything you can to get to that point.
And there is nothing in our legal system right now that clears up old bullshit laws. That's really bad, because we basically have, like, we've got Windows 95, right? Or Windows 2000, where you've just been adding code upon code upon code upon code. At some point, you got to say, I'm not saying you throw it out, because the legal system is not the best analogy for program coding, but it's decent enough here to where if you have – we just don't have – our law books get thicker and thicker and thicker. They don't reach a maximum. They don't get thinner and thinner. They just get more complicated and more insane as time goes on because we don't have a mechanism to actually remove old shit. And we should.
Well, it's that coupled with we try to CYA all the way through. You want to make sure that you cover every possible situation or permutation of a situation that can occur because of this law, or run into because of this law, or possibly even think about because of this law. That's how you come at it. And, I mean, but that's the thing. Like, this guy, honestly, will, like, to me, he seems like the kind of person, first of all, that has a vocabulary of 100 words or less. I mean, everything is great. Everything is huge with a Y. Everything is with this hand gesture, the OK symbol waving kind of thing.
Yes.
I mean, look, his hair is ridiculous. He is. We don't know if he's actually a successful businessman. We know he's not a responsible parent because he said Kevin just pointed him through the lobby and didn't escort him. Everybody knows this.
Okay, I want to address the successful businessman thing because I feel that pretty much everyone who is at that level of elite status with money, right? They've got several billions of dollars. All of those people are incredibly lucky. The stars lined up for them because there are lots of people that work really fucking hard and are really fucking smart, but the stars and they're very determined, right? And they keep pushing forward. But the stars never quite align the way and to where the timing is, where they are in an opportunity to take all of these attributes that they have and be the first motherfucker in on the game. Bill Gates is one of the best examples. Is that he is this really smart guy, came from a nice upper class family who was able to afford one of the first fucking computers, and that gave him an opportunity with his drive, with his interest in coding, to take that thing and go fucking crazy with it and become one of the wealthiest dudes ever. That type of example can be hit through all over the place. Even Larry Page and the other guy,
Sergey Brin.
Yeah, I mean they didn't do anything when you look back at it particularly miraculous. They just happened to be the search engine that decided to go with a slightly less cluttered look on their front page, and they got a cooler word like Google to be their thing, and they became the Kleenex of fucking tissue. And everybody now uses Google, and now they're the number one search engine. I think if Yahoo had been the number one search engine, then they would have ended up being the number one advertising company. There's people that get lucky, and Trump is one of those people who's just driven, determined, got a fucking great head start. Most successful business people have plenty of failures in their past, and Trump has done well with marketing and licensing, just like any other marketing and licensing brand, like Legos or Disney or whatever. I mean that's a legitimate business tactic to do licensing, branding, and marketing. I don't think that you can say the guy's not a dummy. If it was easy to get fucking $1 billion in your bank account, then everybody would have it. It's not fucking easy, but somehow that guy fucking made it. It's easy to do
when you start out with a huge multi-million-dollar loan from your dad.
It's easier, but it's
much easier.
It's easier because look at people win the lottery all the time. They get $300-400 million, and they end up fucking broke inside of like 5 or 10 years. So it's not that easy to take $500 million and turn that into several billion. It's not, because every fucking month somebody gets a chunk of change like that, but some reason they don't all turn into billionaires. You can't just say, oh, well, Trump got $1 million, therefore everything he did with that $1 million, he's a fucking caveman, with orange fucking hair. Like,
he's a fucking Oompa. He's a Troopa Loopa. Troopa Loompa. That's what he is.
I still think America's better off. Even if we take a couple of wrong turns for the next 4 years, I think that it will. Look, this is my other aspect of it is people put Obama in and they thought, that's it. We've got a black dude in the warehouse. Social progress is fucking here. We can just go do whatever we want now because we solved the biggest problem, and that was racism, which is the biggest social, one of the biggest social issues in America. And you can see the very next year, not that many people turned up to vote. And then fucking nobody turned up to vote for Hillary as far as the independents. And I think people slept. People slept. They let the Democratic Party become just as shitty and corrupted and bought and paid for as every other political establishment. And people thought that once they put Obama in, that everything was just going to somehow, all the chips were going to fall into place after Obama got in. And everything was just going to be good from now on. We got Obama, and guy's charismatic, funny, well-spoken, and now I can go back to sleep. I can go back to watching porn, yelling at football games, and doing whatever because we got this guy in, and Obama's the magical fucking president guy who's going to fix fucking everything. And in the meantime, the seeds of money kept working away, right? Big corporations kept making bigger profits and buying more influence inside the political spectrum on both sides. And the Democratic Party got fucked. It got totally fucked. And what America did right now is they just ripped everything up and said start over.
Okay,
start over on the liberal agenda side. They said start over. Go fuck yourself. Everybody that's there, get the fuck out.
All right, let's go and say, all right, he's in. There's nothing we can do about it now. Now what? Now what happens? I mean, it is a Republican-controlled Congress and a Republican-controlled presidency. Now we sit and wait, and like everybody is going to nitpick this to death. But
which is also good, right? The country should have eyes on their political system
to a degree. I mean, we should, but at the same time, we should have eyes, maybe a magnifying glass, but not a microscope. Nobody wants to see how the sausage is made.
No, yeah, I agree.
So, and at the same time, again, it's such a monumental task now to do what we're doing to keep this ship afloat that you have to do this as a full-time job. That's where we're coming at.
I think it re-energizes the liberal, whatever, I don't know, I guess agenda, right? The liberal agenda that's out there where everybody was like, nah, Obama's got this. And it's like, no, Obama doesn't got this. You still need to fucking tell your local cities and your local congressman what the fuck you want. And you got to keep pushing, those ideas. You can't just fucking sit back and relax.
Well, and the thing is, that's actually happening. Case in point, everybody's all Trump this, Trump that. Do we know who Mike Pence is? Yes, we do.
We know he's not my guy.
Yeah, he's the governor of, was it Indiana, Illinois? I always get those confused. The one that had the no, you don't have to serve gay people. That's who he was.
Yeah,
that bakery that wouldn't give the homosexual wedding a cake. And he stood up for them, and he defended them. Guess what? Bakery's out of business. People shut him down because they knew it wasn't right.
Mike, first of all, the vice president is pretty much a joke position as long as the president doesn't die.
He's still president pro tem, so he's got a position that actually makes some sway.
But so Mike Pence is actually conservative.
Extremely.
But Trump's not conservative.
He's a rightist mod.
I don't think he's conservative at all. I don't think he's any way, shape, or form conservative. That guy's
he is what neo-republicanism will be in this country: fiscally conservative, socially liberal. He will say, "Okay, no, we can't discriminate on women. No, we can't discriminate against blacks. No, we can't discriminate against Hispanics. Yeah, I made jokes. That's what it was. Blah blah blah. But we still need to build a fence. We still need to do these things because it protects our financial interests." He will be as fiscally conservative, if not more so, than Reagan was. Definitely. But he'll definitely be, I would say, socially more liberal than Reagan could ever have thought.
Yeah, he's already backed down. There's no wall. There's not going to be a wall.
Well, you said there's going to be a fence in some places.
But there's already a fence in some places. All he's doing is just extending the fence like every other president and every other person has decided is reasonable.
And all they're going to do is dig under it like they've been doing.
I like one of the things was like, they said, I read this somewhere, it was like, one of the reasons that building a wall is not a good idea is because the Border Patrol agents who drive up and down the border can't see through it. So they won't be able to see for miles on the other side if someone's approaching.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's hilarious. The other thing we've already seen, he's not getting rid of Obamacare.
No, he's not really said anything about that.
There's
latched on, a couple of news media outlets latched onto a statement and said, yeah, at the end of the day, He's not in. Let him say whatever he wants. He's been saying whatever he wants for the past 2 years. Heck, all his life, really. Let's let him get in there and see what happens. I want to see what actually does come of it.
I'm not lighting the world on fire. I didn't throw like a surprise party. To me, I was just like, whatever. That's for you.
Thank you.
But I definitely, I don't see the idea of the doom and gloom. I blame the media for trying to convince this small population of people that think that Trump is a real life racist and bigot, and I don't think that he is. I don't believe that. That's part of this like PC culture that if you say something, somehow now that's you forever. To me, your actions define who you are much more than your words, because it's so easy to say equality for everybody. It's so easy to say I respect women and I respect Mexicans. That's easy. Just like it's easy to say I hate Mexicans and I hate women. Both of them are equally as easy to do. But there's no examples of him refusing to hire black people or Mexicans or women for any of his businesses, right? There's no actual proof of him being racist, and I don't think he is.
There is the Celebrity Apprentice.
Yeah, but did he disqualify?
He called Lil Wayne and Uncle Tom. Come on. And Lil Wayne's from Canada. He doesn't even know what that means.
Oh, my God.
I don't think.
Yeah, but you know what? Like, I watch... I did a long time ago, so I'm not up on anything new, but I love that guy Gordon Ramsay, and he says the fucking most horrible shit to people.
Insane, but he does it. It's like that's just it. It's like I think like he even begged people to sue him so that he would get more notoriety for his show because the ratings weren't good enough. Who knows? But that's the thing. It's like Trump has done exactly what he needed to do to get in front of everybody's face, to get on everybody's mind. He's elected. He won. We're still talking about him. I say let's just let it ride, see what he does.
Did you see that, like, supposedly George Soros is paying people to protest? Have you seen that? There are
I read somewhere
there are
something
Craigslist there are Craigslist ads across America that are paying people to protest. Mm-hmm. There was even I didn't catch on to it. There was a post on Reddit where this guy, this news anchor, I don't know what you call him, like a reporter, like an on the street kind of like reporter, is trying to interview. He's trying to interview some of the protesters,
right?
And then he recognizes one of the protesters that was his cameraman. One of the guys actually worked at the news agency, was getting paid $3,500 to go protest, and he was recognized by the reporter. He's like, "Hey, Fred, wait, Fred, what are you doing here? Protesting? What? Aren't you the cameraman? Yeah. And like, it was under like our cringe, mm-hmm. because it was this reporter who at first started interviewing this guy, and like in the middle like of the interview, he starts to recognize that, like, wait, this is my camera guy.
So what are you doing here? And
yeah,
like the
what
whole
are
thing
you
devolves
doing?
Into we found out what's really going on.
Well, that's just one, right? That was just on Reddit, and I didn't even catch it. And then later on, I see all this, this people start to, as stuff permeates through, Twitter starts all of a sudden discovering, there's 17 giant buses that are 17 blocks away from the protest site. People start taking pictures of the protesters, and they have all these like really nice printed, like laser printed fucking signs, and they all look like they're printed the same, with the same text, the same everything. And then people start looking on Craigslist, and you see like need Trump protesters, need actors, need da-da-da-da-da. And then they started interviewing people, and they were like, oh yeah, I got paid like $3,500 to come, protest. And I was just like, wow, that's fucking...
Why couldn't I get that gig?
That's what, Jackie's like, I'll go protest. I'm like, fuck yeah, I'll go protest him too.
Let's go walk down the street. Oh no, we won't go.
For $3,500, like I would protest Trump, even though I don't fucking believe it or whatever, because I don't think it'll have any effect at all. I wouldn't light shit on fire, I feel like that's when you turn into you go from protester to anarchist.
Well, that's crossing a line, because if you're paying somebody and they do that shit, you basically just bought, a criminal act. That's conspiracy to commit whatever, I guess.
No, some people were actually saying that. Like, should George Soros and these organizations be sued for city damage? And I think absolutely.
Sued? Yeah. I mean, you can sue anybody for anything. It's just whether or not you're actually going to win.
Right, but I mean, I don't think it's far-fetched to say that, like you're not allowed to incite violence, right? That's one of the restrictions on, free speech is you can't tell other people to go be, violent, or if you paid somebody, you're responsible for what they're doing while they're on the clock. Essentially, to some degree or another. I don't know, but it's. I feel like a lot of the Trump shit now, it is more paid fucking propaganda, and like I haven't been really. I don't even have TV, so I don't really watch like the news, regular media. But I definitely think like most of the people are realizing like this shit. These are all just a bunch of paid actors. It's essentially what they are on TV.
Totally to get off the track.
Please.
You say paid actors and TV shows, and I watched something recently that I'm still not sure how I feel about it yet. But paid actors definitely comes to mind. Snoop and Martha. Snoop Dogg, Snoop Lion, whatever the hell he is, and Martha Stewart have a cooking show together.
They do?
Yes.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Snoop Dogg and Martha Stewart?
Yeah.
They're such media whores, man.
Yeah, but the thing is like I saw the ad and I was like, what? No. And then it was like, they're standing there and he's like hugging her and she's like, and it's underneath it says...
Make sure you always try to stay on that mic. I know we don't have headsets.
Which one is the felon? But it's, and like this one was, they had a competition to see who made the better fried chicken, and the guests were Wiz Khalifa, who's born in North Dakota, Seth Rogen, and surprise guest of Ice Cube.
These were on the Snoop Dogg and Martha Stewart cooking show?
Yes. And that
seems like it should just be on the internet.
Yeah,
really. That's actually on... What network is that on?
I want to say VH1.
Oh, okay.
And I think it was
still exists?
Kind of referenced last night during A Tribe Called Quest's one of their performances, which that was the best part.
What the fuck does VH1 stand for?
Video Hits 1, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, really?
It was the adults' version of MTV.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
No, I remember. That's where like the country music was and the shit that the kids...
No, that's CMT.
Oh, shit, that's right. They eventually got their own shit. But it was MTV first, then there was VH1.
Yeah.
Then later on came like BET and CMT.
Well, BET, I think, came out about the same time, if not a little bit earlier, than VH1.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it wasn't all music. It was actually shows to begin with. But it was replays of old shows like Good Times, What's Happening, things like that.
Right. So. And then MTV was like, well, we got so much content, we got to come out with another channel.
Well, yeah,
and
MTV
they started doing
did
like
MTV.
reality.
Well, what it was is they had so much content, and they realized they were getting flack for it because they weren't doing music anymore. So they did MTV2, and that's what did all the music videos. And then they realized there weren't enough music videos to go around of new stuff. They were starting to play old stuff. Nobody really cared for it. So they made MTV3 and then started doing shows on MTV2. But they did MTV3 to bring out a more ethnic audience. So they did Yo MTV Raps and Hispanic stuff on
Your
MTV3.
etymologic knowledge on the MTV channels, like evolution is fucking astounding.
It's fucking insane.
Oh my God.
But no, Snoop and Martha, like, it would be good if it was, like with us, we just turn on the mics and go. And that's what happens. And it works really well, I think. I may be a little biased. But if we wrote, like, even if we did, like, bullet points, it would feel artificial. Something would be taken away. And it's like with Snoop and Martha, they need to quit writing the damn show and just let Snoop and Martha fucking hang out. Let Snoop get blasted, let Martha get crossfaded, and just let it ride for now.
I think, I have never seen the show, but I would say let Martha get her ducks in a row, but let Snoop just go off the cuff because he's your comic relief. I've seen some, Snoop has his own YouTube channel, and it's not that good. There's little gold nuggets in there.
Oh yeah, there's times
when
like Mike Epps comes around and it's hilarious.
But he needs somebody to to riff off of. You know, there has to be some sort of element of stability in there for Snoop to twist into his little Snoop version, you know, in comments.
And they do that to a degree. Like, one of the elements to the show is whenever you open Martha Stewart's fridge on her side of it, it's like a blue light, and it's and like as long as the fridge door is open, they play that angelic choir note.
Oh, really?
The whole time. Then you shut the door, and he cuts it. You go over to Snoop's fridge, and you open it. It's a green light, first of all. It's a gilded fridge. You open it up, and it's green inside, and you hear this, you know, this total, like, Dr. Dre-esque funk beat. And, you know, and then, of course, they all got to start dancing for a little bit, and then they shut the door, and the music cuts off. But other than that, they actually try to write shtick for both of them, and it falls a fucking part because she says something, and he's Snoop. He still plays Snoop. So he interjects, and she doesn't know how to come back from that because it's not in front of her on a teleprompter. You know, and they have an audience, and it's like, what the fuck? And I don't know. It seemed like, look, let these two people be themselves and just step back and watch. Don't try to write what you think Snoop and Martha are going to do. Don't do that because no, you don't know. You just let it happen.
No, I would agree with you, but again, I haven't seen the show, so I'm not really sure.
I will download some more of it because I'm going to watch it again. I've made this resolution that I'm going to give a show 3 episodes before I decide something.
What's up? You can just say what?
What's it called?
Snoop and Martha.
That's it?
Yeah. It's just Snoop and Martha.
Snoop and Martha.
That was our technical guru. That's our producer.
What do you think that we're going to see big changes with the legalization of weed here in California?
Big changes?
How much more is weed culture going to rise to the surface of the zeitgeist at this point? Because it's already like everybody knows, like wink and a nod, that weed's everywhere here, and it's been everywhere here.
It's everywhere.
I don't know. When I go to like Arizona, I feel like there's no weed anywhere, even though I'm sure there probably is, you know, weed all over Arizona. But I'm interested to see how many like weed shops actually pop up. You know, because people are saying like, oh, it's going to be like Amsterdam, where there's weed coffee shops and stuff everywhere. And I could sort of see it maybe because we have a big, at least down here in San Diego, we have a big craft brewing type of thing, right?
Yeah.
That's huge.
But it has to enter the mindset to be that casual. And there's at least one big stumbling block that I can think of, and that's it may be legal, but it's not going to be cool at work. The insurance companies have already entrenched themselves in on that one. And that's going to be a thing. But, I mean, it's with San Diego at least, it's so prohibitively difficult to do a medical dispensary as it is. There's no way it's going to be casual.
So you think it will still stay... it'll be loose, but not visually. Like when you drive down the streets, it'll look like there's not anything really going on, even though everybody still is like high everywhere.
People will be more open about getting stoned, but as far as being able to get it, finding it in certain places, having hookah lounges or whatever, or smoke shops or anything like that, head shops, it's not going to be any more different than it is now. Not for the short term. I mean...
No, well, we have at least a year until people can buy it legally.
Yeah. Well, how long has it been for medical?
I don't know. Maybe 2 or 3 years?
Yeah. And, I mean, it's still hard to start a dispensary. It's not just difficult. It's financially hard. It's like you have a lot of paperwork and hoops to jump through, plus you got to pay the city a lot of money. And even then when you do it, then you face the neighbors, you know, nibbing your ass out of there. I mean, that's what's going to happen. There are going to be people who are going to be like, yeah, I'm cool with it. Don't do it in my backyard, though. Yeah, we need this, but don't do it here. And for me, I don't really care. I don't smoke, so it's not a problem for me.
I see what you're saying. I feel like sort of bummed out, too, because basically the way the medical thing has worked out is that there are always buildings that are basically unmarked. Like it's an unmarked building. You need to go online to find out where to go. And then when you show up there, you got to show them your driver's license. You know, you basically walk over there with a file on yourself and your green card status, right? Not like your Mexican green card status, your smoke weed green card status. And, you know, you slide it through like the mail slot. You know, somebody opens the door.
It's totally speakeasy. It's what it's like. It's like a speakeasy in the 20s or something.
Yeah, it really is. And then other than that, once you've been approved, then you could go to the delivery shit where you just go online, place your order, and somebody rolls up again in like a kind of a unmarked car, comes to your door into your house with a suitcase that they open up, and there's, you know, all your goods.
Speaking of, not to give somebody a free plug, but there is Khalifa Kush. He does have his own legal weed brand.
I want to see the regulation because I'm so sick and tired of people telling me, like, just like there's hop heads, right? People, they're like, oh, I can taste the fucking buttery after flavor,
yeah.
or I could, you know, I can taste the difference between 15 and 12% like hops. It's like, get the fuck out of here. Like, I don't know. Maybe you can, but at least with the alcohol, you know that when that guy's pouring that beer, you know how hoppy it is. You know what the percentage of alcohol like is in it. Like, it's all state regulated. When somebody tries to sell you, you look in a glass case and this shit says Obama Kush and this stuff says like White Widow.
I like that.
You don't know what the fuck that is. You can there's no way to tell what the fuck that is. People are like, oh, let me get some indicas, or these are some sativas, and these are some hybrids, and it's like, this could be any fucking weed. I would have no fucking clue like what any of this shit is. And I'm kind of stoked that now that I think the pressure for it to become off of a Schedule 1, like they're starting to give, they still haven't taken it off Schedule 1, but they're starting to release more and more grants and licenses for research, you know, to start studying it because they want to see what the fuck is going on. Because there's not that much studying on it. Not to the degree of like, there's more data on vaping nicotine than there is on marijuana. There literally is more data on the dangers of vaping, you know, the electric pens.
Well, there's only one place that the government funds that actually tests it.
Yeah, maybe that shit, maybe the weed that they've got is all dirt Mexican weed. You know, we don't know. Like,
that's where the myth of what is it? Is it G13, G14, G17?
I don't know.
Remember the number.
I don't buy into that shit. I don't buy into any of that. Like when someone's like, you know, they've got fucking 42 different containers, and they're like, oh yeah, this is Purple Haze, and this is fuck your mother, and this is whatever in this can, and I'm just like, dude. It just, does it get me high? Like, that's it. That's all I care about. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, these different effects. This one puts me on the couch. This one makes me want to jack off. This one makes me want to eat a ham sandwich. Like, I don't feel none of that. Like, it's all the same. It's like alcohol. Alcohol has a different taste, but the effect is the same. My beer buzz is the same. I don't notice a difference. I think it's also bullshit when it's like, oh, tequila gives me this kind of buzz and vodka gives me this kind of buzz.
No, that definitely that does play into it. I actually was just talking about it this week. Like,
make sure you talk in the mic. I know you can't hear yourself.
Sorry. No, I'm
move it over so that you can just slide the whole thing over. Because you're standing straight up and down. There you go.
Hey, all right. Welcome back. Coffee talk. Will we have coffee? Just talk. No, I was actually saying that different alcohol definitely does different things to me. Like, first of all, it's like a gremlin almost. I can't mix them. I can't drink a glass of wine with dinner and have, a digestif of some kind of booze afterwards and then switch to beer later. I can't do that. I can't, because if I do that,
isn't that just too much alcohol?
Well, it can be. No, but I mean, I've done that before where I had a glass of wine. I had, I think, a Jack on the rocks, or a Jack and Coke, actually, so where it was a proper shot. Then probably had like 3 or 4 beers afterwards, and I ended up like See, I think I ended up dumping about a gallon's worth of urine in the corner of somebody's bedroom. So, yeah.
Good on you.
Well, I mean, it's just...
Sure they invited you over. How the hell did that happen?
Just one of them fucked up nights. That's all you can say.
Was this like last weekend or
no? This is a few years ago. But
was this in Australia?
No, this was here.
Oh,
this
okay.
America. No. Well, like I can't. I know I can't mix sambuca and seafood. Oh no, that's really bad. I know if I drink, like if you just think about the pure amount of alcohol inside of a beer. I mean, the beer is about what 5% on average.
I don't know.
Yeah. Whereas, if I got a double Jack on the rocks, I'm looking at easily. I mean, that's 80 proof. That's huge. This is maybe 10 proof. I drink two double Jack on the rocks. That's 2 shots each glass. That's 4 shots. I'll have that over the course of an hour. I could probably still drive home and not blow over the limit. But if I have 4 beers and then turn over the course of an hour and then turn around and get in the car, it'll be noticeable that I've had something to drink from somebody watching me drive and not even knowing me. I mean, different alcohol metabolizes differently because your body has drank or consumed so much of it over so much time. There's got to be some sort of, I need to figure out how to adjust for this.
You don't think it has more to do with the amount of fluids that you're putting into your system versus the amount of because when I think of, I don't know, I just assumed alcohol is alcohol, whether...
Now see, that's the
But
fallacy.
if you have like a wine, the thing that wine is like has so much fucking sugar in it, so it's like when you have a come down, you're not only having your alcohol crash, you're also having a huge sugar crash,
right,
like at the same fucking time. When you drink a beer, it's not necessarily a huge sugar crash. Plus, you're getting all kinds of water with your beer. Like you said, it's only 5%. But then if you have a mixed drink, you have a really strong alcohol content in there. But then you still have your decent sugar content with your soda or your liqueur or whatever that happens to be mixed in there. I don't know. To me, I don't notice a difference. I notice a difference in the quantity. Like basically, if I have 2 glasses of wine, I'm done. But if I can have 4 beers, and that's when I'm basically done. Or 2 cocktails. To me, the same. The drunkenness feels the same. I don't have, and it's all angry rage drunk. Like it's all just like reduce all my inhibitions on everything. Like that's just what alcohol does to me. That's what I feel. I'm not saying I go out and do stuff, but I'm more vocal. I'll talk at a higher octave, right? To higher volume.
Yeah. You don't get Mickey Mouse on it.
But whether I smoke a bong, smoke some fucking crack wax, whatever that shit is that they have now, smoke it out of a pen, out of a laser, out of a cat's asshole. I mean, they keep coming up with, they keep inventing new ways to like smoke the same shit. Mm-hmm. But it all just gets me high. Like at the end of it, it's legal now, so everybody can suck my dick. I have like all these different devices in my house, and whether it's fucking lasers or subatomic, nuclear fucking pen that
whether
transmogrifies
you're infusing it through your ear,
yeah, osmosis, whatever. I still just pick up the old-fashioned pipe and shove some fucking plant matter in that shit and just light it with a fucking lighter. Like that gets me high just as good as those other spaceship devices that they keep coming up with.
Well, that's the thing. Like I looked at vaporizing alcohol and inhaling it, and basically you get drunk faster. You feel the buzz, but it wears away quicker. That's from what I saw.
That's the powdered alcohol?
No, the powdered alcohol is different. I've looked at the powdered alcohol recently. I don't know why we can't get this shit more in mass here. You can get it in other places. Spain's got it. Fucking Spain. I
don't know. People don't like powders, bro. People associate powders with like coke and heroin.
I mean, wouldn't you like to snort a beer?
No.
What?
No.
I would try it. I would do that. I'll be honest.
Well, here's the thing. Like your nose and your is like one of the first lines of defense for your immune system.
Yeah.
So you could trick your immune system into thinking that powdered alcohol is something really bad, and it could take it back to, one of your lymph nodes and decide that every time now you drink alcohol, you're going to have an allergic reaction. And that would be bad news if you fucking snorted alcohol and now for the rest of your life you have an allergic reaction to alcohol. You would fuck yourself over from ever getting a buzz again.
Wow.
So do not snort fucking alcohol.
Not even snort it.
Stick it up your ass. Fucking drink it, whatever you want. Like, just don't stick it in your nose.
No. But, I mean, that's the thing. No, there was a thing a few years back of vaporizing. Basically, you take a nebulizer and you push vodka through it, and that's it. Or PGA, depending on. And that's all you do. It's basically a nebulizer. You just wheel out somewhere to a party and, put a thing over your face, inhale it, and that's it.
Wow.
And you're basically inhaling a shot over like 8 to 12 breaths.
I don't really, but alcohol is supposed to be something that like tastes good.
Well,
and it's cold, and you drink it. Like,
you say that, but how many people have bought Patron or Grey Goose? Grey Goose is a neutral fucking spirit. That's what it is. It's just filtered to nothing.
Yeah.
It's alcohol. There's no taste. It's next to nothing.
But I think the idea... No, you're right. I mean, that's people that just want to fucking party. They just want to get fucked up.
Well, they want to party like a baller. That's what it is. Because you pay $50 a bottle for that shit.
I wonder if California... Like, how the statistics are going to go. Because I wonder how many... we were at the grocery store. And I had put all this shit on the fucking belt. The little conveyor belt thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what you would call that thing.
You don't use the self-checkout?
No, there's no self-checkout at this Vons over here. It doesn't exist.
Damn.
I know. Every time I buy lube, I like have to buy like fucking Astroglide like in front of everybody.
Dude, this is why Amazon exists.
No, because the thing is I don't plan that far ahead. I'm just like I'm like trying to squirt out the last bit of lube, and I'm like, fuck. Like
how? I mean, really, just put a subscription on it. Just
a
have it.
subscription.
Yeah, just no. You do it like every 3 months.
That would be one of the things that is like toothpaste that just depletes on a fairly regular, consistent basis. So, anyways, at Vons, dump all this shit on the conveyor belt, and there's no fucking bags.
What, they're out? Oh, wait, no plastic bags.
There's no plastic bags. No, I didn't bring my own. They will only sell you like reusable fucking bags now.
Moonbeam Brown.
They won't fucking even. They won't even like give you paper bags.
No,
it's all gone. And so I was like, "Fuck this! I'm not buying bags." So I just took all my shit off the conveyor belt, put it on the customer, because you know how they have like the customer center control center, like in the middle of all the check stands, where they're, I don't know, it looks like they're coordinating the next fucking rover moon landing there, but really it's just a bunch of Mexicans sending money back down to Mexico.
Yeah.
But it was at midnight, so that's all closed down. So I just scoop all the shit, put it on there, go home, fucking grab 2 bags. No, I grabbed like three bags. We get to fucking line. Get back in line. There's like the pyramid of my fucking food off to the side, and then I start putting all the shit back on, and then I start to open up the bags, and sure enough, the bags are so fucking old, they're like deteriorating. Like I put my finger through the bag and it just fucking tears, and I'm just like, shit, like what the fuck, man? This is such a pain in the ass right now. So we had to like shove all of our stuff into these two bags that we had, and then one of the, I guess, that cigarette tax passed. So now it's like $400 for 7 cigarettes.
Yeah, your 2 blunts for $1 are now like 2 blunts for $20.
Yeah, it's insane. And so the guy's like, buying cigarettes. He's like, I can't believe this. He's like, what? I got to work all these crazy hours. And he was saying he's a guard and he has a gun on him. He's like, do you know what you're doing, taking those cigarettes from a man who has a gun holstered on him? This is just not good. Let me tell you, it's not good. And I'm standing there, and like everybody's around, I'm like, just smoke weed, dude. It's fucking legal now. And he's like, he's all, the weed's legal? I'm like, yeah. He's like, that's what you do? I'm like, just get high every day, dude. Like right in front of the register, the clerk and the 5 fucking people behind us. I'm just like, it's out now. It's out. Like it's time to fucking just not even have to like talk even around it or pretend like anymore. I think that will be kind of I don't know.
Well,
It's going to get rid of. It's going to
mean,
smooth off the social stigma, right? Everybody that's older than 45 has got to like get over it now. Like,
well, they're the ones smoking it. I mean, everybody is smoking it. No, it doesn't matter your age. There's a lot of people.
Not everybody. You're not smoking it.
Well, no, I'm not.
Rob and Jackie don't smoke.
Some people don't.
I don't think Steven smokes.
Yeah.
I mean, he may be, but like I don't think. I'm not saying like if he's in a drum circle and the weed comes around to Steven, I'm sure he'll hit it.
He'll get a hit. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't see Steven having deliveries to his house or whatever.
No. Not that I know of. But and then there's let's put it this way. There are some people I know while at work, even before this, were vaping it. Sitting in their office at their desk, little air filter, little air cleaner thing, and they're straight down under, and that's it.
Well, I mean, you don't smell weed in here right now, right? That means no. You didn't have an instant yes. I mean,
no.
It's been puffing for the last hour and a half right next to you, a couple of feet away. You can't even smell it really. Look at that thing. Like, bring that device over here. Just show it to him. I mean, it doesn't stink.
No, I mean, because by the time, it's different. You're just getting the THC out.
Literally just the THC out
That's
of there.
it.
There's no like plant particles. You could be at a movie theater and blowing that shit on the back of a 12-year-old's head while you're watching, fucking Star Wars.
Yeah.
No, they could get high.
Oh.
But they won't even know.
Well, see, now this is where the problem's going to be for me. Like, okay, let's say for example, I know people that do this. They drive trucks. They drive forklifts. They drive, they do things. They operate machinery that, one, if they were stoned, it would impair them. And two, their company's insurance will not allow them to let them do that while they're on the job. So they drug test them, and they do it regularly. I know a guy got into a fight at work.
But that doesn't make any sense, though, to me.
Why not?
Because there are people who, like my dad, would come home and get high every day, but he never went into work high. He's never at work high. But once you smoke it, that shit's in your system for 30 days.
Right.
But you're not high. It's just like this little fucking metabolite that's stuck to some part of your fat tissue. It's just kind of stuck there.
Well, let me finish. Let me tell you. Basically, this one person got into a fight at work with a coworker. Okay. Since it was a physical disagreement, this classifies as a workplace incident.
Sure.
So they both pop him. Well, yeah. He comes up because he smokes. Now, I don't know if he goes into work blazed or not. I would assume no, because he had a really good job. Now, they test him. And they say, okay, your test came back positive. This is what you've got to do. You've got to go to outpatient rehab, blah, 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 do this. And then at the end of the 28 days, test again. So he does. He gets popped. And that's it.
What's up?
See, remember that shit that psychiatrist wanted to make me do?
Oh, yeah. Look, I mean, this is the thing that pisses me off about the whole situation is you could be at work and some shit falls on you, fucking breaks your leg. It's a workers' comp issue.
And because you smoke.
And because you smoke
popped,
weed, now you're not covered. They can be like, oh, yeah, that pallet fell on you because you were high last Thursday. What? I smoked weed last Thursday at the end of my shift. I had 2 days off. After that, I went to the movies to go see Batman or some shitty Avengers movie. And the only way I was going to enjoy that piece of shit movie was to be fucking high, blitzed out of my fucking mind. And I come to work, and I'm walking down the warehouse. I'm walking down the warehouse, and a can of fucking Vaseline falls on my head, and fucking...
You work at the lube factory.
Yeah, and suddenly I don't
lube.
get fucking workers' comp because I got fucking high 3 weeks ago. Like, that's fucking so unfair.
Well, see, that's the thing. It's usually not that way. Another person, cokehead.
Yeah.
Big time cokehead. Did something stupid because he was high. He basically went in and deleted a bunch of stuff he wasn't supposed to. They said, okay, this is technically a workplace accident. Do it. So he did it. They came back and said, yeah, you've popped. Come back again in 4 weeks. Didn't even make him do anything else. You know what he did? He walked. He quit that job.
Oh, he quit the job?
Yeah, because he knew he couldn't do it.
Oh, he couldn't stop doing
He couldn't
the coke?
stop. He couldn't stop. He knew he couldn't stop long enough to get that out of his system.
It only takes like a week.
Yeah, about 9 days. About the same as nicotine, I think.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know. It's I think that I'm just staring off as I'm thinking in my brain.
The thing is these people know that they can't get away with it. They know they can't let go of it. Those two particular cases, yeah.
I just don't think it's fair to punish people because you have the ability to detect whether they've done something at some point.
I think it's unconstitutional to take someone's urine.
They can't hear you, baby, because you.
It should be unconstitutional to take someone's urine
To take someone's urine?
against their will.
It's a violation of privacy in Australia. They don't drug test anybody like that.
It's too far, man. It's too far. It gives the corporations too much power to do that type of stuff to you. I mean,
but at the same time, they do have to look after their interests, and there are people who are getting baked while on the job, not just before.
Yeah, but like, let's say, isn't there? You're saying that there's not a way to tell whether somebody is under the influence in the moment versus just has like metabolites like in their body after the fact?
You would have to test them at the moment, and not every case mandates that.
Right,
Like-
but you would think like if you're in a truck accident, like you're driving for Coca-Cola, you're fucking coked out of your mind because you're driving the truck on your 27th hour straight.
Yeah, you're geared up trying to get paid.
You're trying to get paid, and then you run over like 4 fucking babies, 2 moms and a grandparent, and they take you immediately, like from the accident. Even if he's in the ER, right? Like, and they should just pull some blood out of him real quick and say that's what we're gonna check once you're done.
That's fine. But let's take my job. Somebody calls in and says, "Oh, my thing's not working," and because I'm gone on whatever substance, and I just say, "Oh yeah, look, just take a sensor. I'll put another sensor in," and it's not that. Let's say it's something different, okay? And then they go to bed that night, and they hit a low, and they don't wake up. Like, one, that may not even come back to me. Okay, that's one. Two, even if it does, that's not an incident where they're going to start drawing my blood or make me pee in a cup. They're not going to do that because they don't know that about me at all. That's the thing. You have to know your workers. And the case is, they say, if you do these certain things, you will definitely be more prone to mess up, and we need to make sure our ass is covered for that. Because if that company closes because of some liability lawsuit, which could happen, then that's not just that person, but that's the other 1,700 some odd people out of a job.
But there's basically what you're saying. I'm gathering. I'm listening to all your points, and I'm still kind of coming to the conclusion that we set this arbitrary parameter that says, we're going to drug test you before we hire you, but then at the end of the day, we still can't fucking stop you from being high and fucking up the thing that we don't want to happen. All we
that
can
we're
do,
paying you to keep it from happening. That's what you're here for,
right? But
Yeah.
but so like you're talking about the guy who does. We would like to have people. Not that we don't give a fuck if people do coke, but ultimately these restrictions are to stop people from doing coke or being buzzed or high at work. At work, right? The premise is that we do all these other restrictions to stop you from doing it at work. But
that almost sounds like you're saying I twerk.
But they do twerk, right? They're
Yes.
twerking anyways, and all that means is that there are people who only twerk at home, and then they get into an accident and they're disqualified from the fucking service that would help them. And then the people who do twerk at work and have the same accident, well, they just quit because they're like, well, I'm out. So ultimately, you didn't stop the thing that you were trying to stop in the first place, and you're just hurting the people that like to do a little bit of twerking at home on YouTube. when they're by themselves.
All right. So the question is then, how do you balance this equation? How do you get it so that people are able to do what they want to do and not have their privacy violated and enjoy the freedoms they're allowed to enjoy? Plus, safeguard the fact that we are still litigious. We can still be held liable if you get geetered up, come into work, fuck up, and cost somebody some shit.
I think that it's about the work culture. We got to change our. Ultimately, I don't know if it's possible, but it's like we shouldn't have jobs that are so fucking miserable that people want to be high while they're there. Like if your job sucks so bad that your coping mechanism of showing up to work is to show up blitzed with 20% of your brain kind of like distracted by some other thing, then there's something going on there. Either that person is not challenged enough, or the job they have is so fucking boringly like mundane.
I would buy that if I felt like in this case, let's say somebody called in at my job and they did a thing and we said the wrong thing. Somebody told them something wrong because they were too high to differentiate. If they're so high because their job is that boring, then they need to find another job.
Yeah, they should. That's what I'm saying. It should be part of the culture of the environment. Like right now, basically the idea is consumers are number one. Right? Everything is about the consumer. Mm-hmm. All the arguments are made on behalf of this consumer. So we get rid of we stress our labor force, we suppress workers' wages, and we buy as cheaply as possible, all so that the consumer can save some money. Right? So that when it gets to the shelf, the consumer can buy the best product for the lowest amount of money possible. And so that creates an attack on the labor force itself. And it makes labor basically disposable. Like we basically have disposable labor. We know that there are 90 million unemployed people in the United States. There's 90 million unemployed people in the United States.
And over half of them voted for Trump.
Well, I bet you all the unemployed people voted for Trump.
It's possible. If they could get to the polls, because they don't have,
sure.
don't have gas money.